شكرا.
Thank you, Mr. President. Since this is the first time that I have the honor to represent my country, Lebanon, in this council, allow me, Mr. President, and through you to the rest of the council, we express our appreciation to you and we look forward to cooperating with you in the coming days. I also thank you for holding this meeting. I also thank all member states in this council for their positive engagements in the negotiations that led to the adoption of Resolution 2790. I especially thank the penholder France for their constructive efforts to guarantee consensus. I also thank all friendly countries in this council that not only showed understanding for the concerns of the host state Lebanon, but also supported its just position. I would also like to commend UNIFIL and express our appreciation to its role and efforts within its mandate and the sacrifices of its personnel, past and present, especially those who sacrificed their lives while performing these noble functions of maintaining peace and security. We salute their courage in the darkest of times. We also thank the governments of troop-contributing countries that spared no effort to achieve the same noble goals. Mr. President, Lebanon welcomes the resolution of the Council to extend the mandate of UNIFIL. However, given that this is the last extension, we would like to recall the following facts. First, Lebanon still considers UNIFIL's presence as essential to guarantee security and stability in Lebanon and the region until we reach a comprehensive political understanding on all pending issues pursuant to Resolution 1701, and supporting the Lebanese state in extending its control over its entire territory in parallel with the gradual and safe withdrawal of UNIFIL that takes into account the progress made in this regard and the full withdrawal of Israel of all Lebanese territory. Second, the ongoing daily Israeli attacks on Lebanon and the systematic targeting of civilians and civilian infrastructure, in addition to preventing the internally displaced persons from going back to their homes, their villages, and lands. Although, since the announcement of the cessation of hostilities arrangement on the 26th of November 2024, the source of these violations, of all relevant international resolutions and this arrangement has been Israel. Second, the Lebanese government, although recently formed, has made a number of important and unprecedented decisions that reflect the aspirations of the Lebanese people in extending the control of the Lebanese state on the Lebanese territory, to control the borders and to restrict weapons, including those in the Palestinian camps, pursuant to the Taif Accord and Resolution 1701. Fourth, in order to implement the decisions of the government, the Lebanese army has deployed south of the Litani River almost fully. What is preventing the full deployment is the fact that Israel still occupies some areas there. Mr. President, given these developments today, Lebanon believes that it is high time, first, for the Council to shoulder its full responsibilities in maintaining the security and stability of Lebanon and the region, even after the end of the mandate of UNIFIL, and Lebanon reaffirms it will continue to cooperate with UNIFIL during the remainder of its mandate. We will continue to respect the status of forces agreement to guarantee the security and safety of the personnel of UNIFIL and to facilitate its orderly and safe drawdown. Second, this Council and the member states of the Council shoulder a legal responsibility to prevent Israel from violating Lebanese sovereignty and from preventing the reconstruction of the state according to the aspirations of the Lebanese government and the Lebanese people pursuant to operative paragraph 3 and 4 of this resolution, and the full, complete an unconditional withdrawal of Israel from all Lebanese territory, including the 5 border areas, and lifting the so-called buffer zones, and the unconditional and immediate release of all Lebanese prisoners. Third, countries guaranteeing the cessation of hostilities agreement must abide by their obligation in this regard and compel Israel to fully respect this arrangement. Fourth, the international community must accompany the tremendous efforts made by the Lebanese government and the Lebanese army to build a strong, sovereign, and capable state, and to support them through all possible means and without any delay to guarantee that Lebanon goes through this critical phase safely, to contribute to achieve the desired social and economic stability. Fifth, enough and tangible support should be given to the Lebanese army without any delay at the bilateral and multilateral levels to assist the army to carry out its responsibilities alongside other security institutions. Mr. President, we reaffirm that Lebanon will continue to look towards the United Nations with all its agencies and bodies, including this august council, as a reliable partner and a fair and objective representative of international legitimacy. Lebanon continues to believe that UNIFIL's presence is a guarantee for Lebanon and reflects the principles of the Charter that call for strengthening the language of peace and dialogue among nations instead of the language of war, and glorifying military strength and resorting to military strength to impose new realities, which, even if it achieves momentarily gains, we know that it will not achieve the necessary peace among nations and will not lead to sustained security and stability. I thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the representative of Lebanon for the statement. I now give the floor to the representative of Israel.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I would like to thank France for their efforts as the pen holders. Mr. President, today is a historic day. Following the vote that took place a few minutes ago in this council, and after 47 years of what was meant to be an interim presence. I remind you, UNIFIL, it was an interim mandate. Today we can declare that UNIFIL is concluding its mandate on the border between Israel and Lebanon. We are at a decisive moment for Lebanon, Israel, and the region on what comes next. For decades, UNIFIL has been tasked with maintaining peace and security along the Blue Line. Yet, as its very name suggests, this was never intended to be a permanent presence. UNIFIL was meant to provide temporary stability while lasting solutions were being pursued. The reality is that UNIFIL has failed in its mandate. Its presence has not prevented Hezbollah from building one of the world's most dangerous arsenals, nor has it upheld the very resolutions this Council adopted. UNIFIL has consistently overlooked Hezbollah's vast military buildup. Weapons depots and terrorist infrastructures have been discovered across southern Lebanon, some alarmingly close to UNIFIL positions. Yet in its reporting every year to this Council, UNIFIL rarely names Hezbollah and frequently downplays its activities. UNIFIL's bias has provided Hezbollah with cover to entrench itself under the illusion of international supervision. Israel has honored its commitments. Since the start of the ceasefire understandings in November 2024, Israel has reported hundreds of Hezbollah violations to the US-led mechanism, including breaches of resolutions 1701 and 1559. However, Lebanon has struggled in its response. The Lebanese armed forces have acted on some violations. We have to admit that. But their limited capacity and dependence on Hezbollah prevent effective enforcement. Strengthening the LAF and ensuring its independence is essential if Lebanon is ever to reclaim full sovereignty from Hezbollah terrorists. Israel is prepared to advance dialogue with Lebanon, including talks on the enforcement of the Blue Line. Our readiness is very clear. We are willing to engage constructively on the condition that Lebanon takes concrete steps toward fulfilling its own obligations. Council members, we are presented with a unique opportunity today. Hezbollah has been weakened in the aftermath of war following the October 7th massacre. That has opened a window for Lebanon to move toward disarming militias, as mandated in Resolutions 1701 and 1559. Lebanese leaders have spoken positively about restoring sovereignty. Now, those words must translate into real action, beginning with dismantling Hezbollah's military infrastructure. But despite the ceasefire in place, Hezbollah continues to rearm. It smuggles weapons across the Syrian border, transfers funds through Beirut International Airport, operates weapons factories, and deploys UAVs against Israel. Hezbollah fighters remain south of the Litani River in direct violation of this very Council's resolutions. These actions are not isolated incidents. They are part of a systematic effort to prepare for the next bloody conflict, and Israel will not stand idly by. This Council must respond with clarity. Hezbollah must be condemned explicitly for its terrorist activities, for violating international law, and for attacking UNIFIL peacekeepers. Softened language only emboldens further violations. Accountability begins with calling things by their proper name. Never forget the lives taken away from us in Israel from Hezbollah terrorism. Let me remind you what happened about a year ago, when on July 27, 2024, when young children were playing soccer in the northern town of Majd al-Shams. The world was shattered when Hezbollah murdered 12 of these beautiful children. Their parents were forced to recover their remains. The missile that murdered them was Iranian-made and supplied. These innocent children were in harm's way because of the comprehensive failure by UNIFIL forces and the Lebanese government to implement Resolution 1701. Israel will continue to do whatever is necessary to defend its people. Until the ceasefire understandings are fully implemented, the IDF will maintain a presence at 5 strategic locations along the Blue Line. Our goal is simple: to ensure that residents of northern Israel can return safely to their homes and communities. Finally, let's be honest with ourselves. Most of you, or maybe even all of you, ignored the root cause of this issue: Tehran. The Council must hold Iran accountable for its unspeakable war crimes. Tehran continues to funnel arms and funds to Hezbollah, often through Syria, Turkey, and even direct flights, commercial flights. All that in flagrant violations of the arms embargo under Resolution 1701. Iran's interference destabilizes Lebanon and threatens the entire region. The Security Council must condemn these actions unequivocally. Mr. President, the time has come to chart a new course, one that empowers the Lebanese state, holds Hezbollah and Iran to account, and restores the authority of this Council's resolutions. Israel stands ready to work with all responsible partners to achieve a safer, a better future for both Israelis and Lebanese. But that future cannot be built on denial. It must begin with confronting Hezbollah's violations directly. I thank you, Mr. President.
Agradezco.
And 89th meeting of the Security Council is called to order. The provisional agenda for this meeting is the situation in the Middle East. The agenda is adopted. In accordance with Rule 37 of the Council's Provisional Rules of Procedure, I invite the delegations of Israel and Lebanon to take part in this meeting. It is so decided. The Security Council will now begin its consideration of item 2 of the agenda. I wish to draw the attention of Council members to document S/2025/461, a letter dated the 11th of July 2025 from the Secretary General addressed to the President of the Security Council. Members of the Council have before them document S/2025/527, the text of a draft resolution submitted by France. The Council is ready to proceed to the vote on the draft resolution before it. I shall now put the draft resolution to the vote. Will those in favour of the draft resolution contained in document S/2025/527 please raise their hand?
el proyecto de resolución
The draft resolution received 15 votes in favour. The draft resolution has been adopted unanimously as Resolution 2790.
Daré ahora la palabra
I will now give the floor to those members of the Council who wish to make statements after the vote. First of all, I give the floor to the representative of France.
Merci, Monsieur le
Thank you, President. At the outset, I'd like to thank all members of the Security Council for your commitment and for making yourselves available throughout the negotiations process on the resolution which has renewed UNIFIL's mandate. Negotiations this year were taking place in a very specific context. The dynamics since the cessation of hostilities on the 27th of November 2024 has managed to place us firmly on the path towards regional stability. Lebanon undertook a bold movement to regain its sovereignty over all of its territory, in particular in the south of the Litani region. A Hezbollah disarmament plan has been submitted to the authorities. There is an opportunity to make progress on implementation of Resolution 1701. The Council must contribute to these unprecedented efforts undertaken since 2006. Thus, France submitted this draft resolution with a view to renewing UNIFIL's mandate. UNIFIL makes a valuable contribution to security and stability in Lebanon. It has done so over the last few years. Over the last few months, it has shown that it can support the Lebanese armed forces to pinpoint illegal infrastructure into Alia, and also monitoring the situation along the Blue Line, where the Israeli army maintains a presence. UNIFIL's ongoing operations are therefore vital. Any premature withdrawal could undermine or even weaken the efforts of the Lebanese government in that South Litani region. France welcomes the fact that the mandate has been extended to the 31st of December 2026. This precious time will be necessary to work alongside the mounting capabilities of the Lebanese army so that sovereignty can be extended throughout Lebanese territory. although the situation remains precarious. These dynamics imply that the Lebanese state will be the only one upholding security and extending sovereignty. This requires the departure of Israeli forces from Lebanese territory and an end of air operations on its territory. It also, in time, requires UNIFIL's withdrawal so that the LAF can be on the front line ensuring Lebanon's security. President, the situation remains volatile and vast collective efforts are necessary for long-term stabilization along the blue line. With this in mind, the resolution adopted today calls on the Secretariat to consider options for further implementation of 1701 after UNIFIL's departure. These options will allow for adjustments and necessary modifications with the view to avoid any rollback. We stand ready to work with the Secretariat's teams to consider the various bold options which we invite them to submit to us by June. I thank you.
A la delegación de Francia.
I thank the representative of France for the statement. I now give the floor to the representative of Algeria.
Mr. President, at the outset, I wish to express our gratitude to the penholder, France, for its tireless efforts in steering difficult negotiations towards the adoption of Resolution 2790. Algeria firmly believes that Security Council resolutions concerning peace missions must be guided by the will and the consent of the host country and grounded in realities on the ground. UNIFIL remains indispensable to stability in Lebanon and in the region. It has played a key role in de-escalating tensions, preventing miscalculations, and supporting the cessation of hostilities, thus contributing to regional stability. It was also instrumental to enabling the deployment of the Lebanese armed forces in the south. In this regard, we commend the commitment of the Lebanese authorities to uphold their obligations and to exercise full sovereignty over their entire country. Mr. President, created in 1978, UNIFIL was mainly mandated to observe and to confirm Israel's withdrawal from Lebanon, to restore international peace and security, and to assist the Lebanese government in exercising authority over its territory. These objectives remain at the heart of its mission. We must ask, has UNIFIL fulfilled its mandate? Clearly, the answer is no. Lebanese lands remain under Israeli occupation. And we regret that our proposal to include a clear reference to the 1949 General Armistice Agreement was not retained. Without ending Israel's occupation of Arab lands, peace and stability in the region will remain elusive. Israel has yet to respect its commitments under Resolution 1701 and the cessation of hostilities arrangement. Today's resolution opens a new chapter for Lebanon and for the Middle East. Its implementation must be holistic, not selective, addressing all obligations, including those Israel continues to ignore up to now. The Security Council must also remain ready to revisit this resolution in light of future developments in accordance with the situation on the ground, and also the options the Secretary General will present under OP 10. Finally, and to conclude, Algeria pays tribute to UNIFIL's leadership, to its personnel, and to all troop and police contributing countries for their commitment, for their sacrifice since 1978 in the service of peace. We conclude by urging the international community to extend its support to Lebanon so that it may renew with stability and prosperity. I thank you.
Agradezco.
I thank the representative of Algeria for the statement. I now give the floor to the representative of the Republic of Korea.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let me first thank France for its tireless efforts in bridging significant gaps between Council members and guiding us to the adoption of this important resolution. As both a troop contributing country of UNIFIL and a member of the Council, the Republic of Korea voted in favor of this resolution with a grave sense of responsibility. Given the new strategic and operational context, UNIFIL's continued presence across the blue line is imperative in order to induce all parties' cooperation for the full implementation of Resolution 1701, which stipulates the full withdrawal of Israel from Lebanon and the disarmament of all armed groups in Lebanon. Yet, we are also mindful that peacekeeping mission cannot continue indefinitely and should focus on implementing the mandate efficiently, being mindful of their end games. This resolution reflects a careful balance between the two needs which led Korea to support the draft resolution. Against this backdrop, it is essential that UNIFIL continue to carry out its mandate in a responsible and professional manner until the mission's full withdrawal. In doing so, the mission should aim to ensure that the Lebanese government can exercise its sovereignty over its whole territory while also providing the necessary support to the Lebanese armed forces. We also take this opportunity to note the Lebanese government's sheer will to rise as the sole guarantor of its national security, which gave us confidence to vote in favor of this resolution. As stipulated in relevant resolution, including 1701, it is the host government's responsibility to ensure their citizens' security, and we call on UNIFIL to support Lebanon in this regard, in accordance with the resolution adopted today. Meanwhile, all parties should also take all necessary measures to ensure the safety and security of the blue helmets until the end of their term. Colleagues, as the Council envisions the end of this mission, it is imperative to think ahead on how the post-UNIFIL phase should look to ensure peace and stability across the blue line. In this context, we call for the Secretary General to present a genuine and insightful report on the post-UNIFIL phase that include actionable plans in accordance with the resolution. Such a report should guide the discussions within the Council on how to ensure the security of Lebanon, forestall any further resurgence of non-state actors in southern Lebanon, and prevent military escalation across the blue line. To conclude, we emphasize that close cooperation and the coordination among troop contributing countries are more crucial than ever before. and we call on the international community to extend its steadfast support. I thank you, Mr. President.
Agradezco.
I thank the representative of the Republic of Korea for the statement. I now give the floor to the representative of the Russian Federation.
Thank you, President. The Russian Federation voted in favor of the UN Security Council draft resolution on the extension of the mandate of UNIFIL, crafted by France. When taking this decision, we were guided first and foremost by the position of the Republic of Lebanon, a state hosting peacekeepers on its territory. This position, let us remind you, was set forth in detail in a letter from the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Lebanon addressed to the SG, dated 27th of June 2025. We note the efforts of the penholder, France, which tried to take into account the priorities of Beirut, which is in keeping with the principles of peacekeeping. Having said that, regrettably, we must note that it was not possible to fully reflect the interests of the Lebanese in the Security Council resolution. From the outset, one delegation, we all know which one, despite the rather ambiguous situation on the ground, imposed ultimatums so as to swiftly wind down this UN peacekeeping mission entrusted with a Security Council mandate that it is implementing. And while the delegation did not manage to convince Security Council members that it's unwise to maintain blue helmets in Lebanon, the result was below the expectations of the majority of Security Council members. Nonetheless, we deemed it possible to lend our support to this way out of this absurd situation, a way out which at the end of the day was agreeable to our Lebanese colleagues. It goes without saying that we do not call into question the fact that any UN peacekeeping mission is temporary in nature. This is what the name of the mission itself suggests. It's an interim mission. Nonetheless, we'd like to remind you of the long-term efforts undertaken by peacekeepers which remain in demand. These peacekeepers since 1979 have been monitoring the ceasefire and upholding security along the blue line between Lebanon and Israel. The interim force implemented and continues to implement the duties assigned to him in good faith and selflessly, often putting their own health and even their lives at risk. The Russian Federation has consistently and unwaveringly supported the efforts of peacekeepers who play a key stabilizing role even today, as we see ongoing dangerous tensions in the Lebanon-Israel border area, whence we get daily reports about peace strikes and violations by the Israeli Air Force of Lebanese airspace. In light of this, we believe that the plan, that is, extending and then gradually withdrawing UNIFIL as per the resolution we just adopted, should not create a security vacuum in southern Lebanon. However, given the bellicose position of the Israeli government, as well as its destructive actions in the region, which are being undertaken with cover from our U.S. colleagues, mean that the risks of such a security vacuum remains in the medium term and the long term. We stand convinced that what is of principled importance is that for the Cornerstone Resolution 1701 to be implemented before a UNIFIL withdrawal from Lebanon. After all, after an eventual shutdown of UNIFIL, responsibility for the situation around in the area will fall squarely on Israel and Lebanon. As it states in the aforementioned resolution, this should not result in a conflict between these two parties. I thank you.
Agradezco.
I thank the representative of the Russian Federation for the statement. I now give the floor to the representative of Denmark.
President, and I also wish to thank and extend my gratitude to France as our penholder for having conducted these negotiations that led to the unanimous approval of this resolution. Denmark voted in favor of this resolution. We welcome the extension of UNIFIL's mandate to allow the mission to continue its important work at this crucial point in time. We commend UNIFIL's close cooperation with the Lebanese armed forces and note the record-high presence of the LAF in the south of Lebanon and a continually strengthened response from the LAF to reports of unauthorized weapons and of ammunition caches. These are positive signs towards the Lebanese armed forces becoming the sole security provider inside Lebanon. For this to be fully realized, the LAF requires international support, and UNIFIL remains an invaluable part of this. We look forward to the Secretary General's options on how to support for the LAF can be strengthened after UNIFIL's withdrawal, as requested in this resolution. Mr. President, we underline the importance of Resolution 1701 and stress the obligation of all parties to respect its terms and implement them in full. All parties must ensure that UNIFIL can implement its mandate unhindered, including with freedom of movement. All parties must also ensure the safety and security of UN personnel and UNIFIL facilities. We would like to extend our gratitude to all UNIFIL peacekeepers who have served selflessly and tirelessly along the blue line, putting their lives at risk to protect others. Mr. President, to conclude, let me reaffirm Denmark's full support to UNIFIL and to UNIFIL's peacekeepers. I thank you.
Agradezco a la delegación de
I thank the representative of Denmark for the statement. I now give the floor to the representative of Greece.
Thank you, Mr. President. At the outset, I would like to thank the penholder, France, for its tireless efforts in successfully steering the discussions. Greece has voted in favor of the renewal of UNIFIL's mandate. We consider the mission a reliable and critical partner of the Lebanese government, a pillar of stability for Lebanon, and a key enabler of regional peace and security. UNIFIL's support to the deployment of the Lebanese armed forces, its assistance in the detection and disposal of unauthorized weapons, its perseverance in upholding the cessation of hostilities and monitoring the implementation of Resolution 1701, as well as its assistance in the safe return of the displaced population, are all vital to promoting stability in Lebanon and the wider region. In parallel, the Lebanese government has shown determination to stay the course, despite daunting challenges. The recent decision of the Ministerial Cabinet to approve a roadmap for the disarmament of Hezbollah constitutes a courageous and welcome move. In the same vein, reports indicate that the LAF has assumed control of 90% of the positions previously maintained by Hezbollah south of the Litani River. It is now time to seize the momentum. Strengthening cooperation between UNIFIL and the LAF in the months ahead will be crucial to enhancing the operational capacity of the LAF, consolidating the state's monopoly on arms, and extending its authority over the entire territory of Lebanon. Full respect by all parties for the ceasefire and Resolution 1701 remains indispensable. At the same time, the safety, security, and freedom of movement of UN personnel must be guaranteed, along with the inviolability of UNIFIL's premises. Meanwhile, the international community should intensify support for Lebanon, particularly in the timely implementation of much-needed reforms. In this vein, the Council has a responsibility to address the repercussions that will emanate from ending the mandate and to ensure that it will not create a security vacuum. Greece has already committed to increasing its support to the Lebanese armed forces while already contributing to the mission with a frigate and staff at the Nakura headquarters. In conclusion, Mr. President, while in principle we believe that the ending of the mandate should have been condition-based and the text is not ideal, we stress that UNIFIL's transition needs to be safe and orderly in close coordination with the host country. We sincerely hope that the Lebanese government will in the coming months assume full sovereignty over its territory and that both parties will advance towards a comprehensive political settlement. Greece, as Lebanon's neighbor and long-standing friend, stands ready to assist towards this goal. I thank you.
I thank the representative of Greece for the statement. I now give the floor to the representative of the United Kingdom.
Thank you, President. I thank our French colleagues for their leadership in guiding the Council through the process of renewing UNIFIL's mandate. The United Kingdom has always been a strong supporter of UNIFIL. I pay tribute to the tireless efforts of the mission's troops and staff, and to the memory of those who've made the ultimate sacrifice. The UK voted in favour of today's resolution, which allows UNIFIL to operate for 16 months before an orderly withdrawal. However, it is disappointing that despite the best efforts of the penholder, the Council was not able to make this significant decision on the basis of an evidence-based assessment of the impact of UNIFIL's withdrawal. The United Kingdom believes that a premature withdrawal of UNIFIL would risk fostering a security environment that Hezbollah can exploit. That would harm communities on both sides of the Blue Line and set back efforts for a long-term political agreement. The decision to end UNIFIL's mission also comes in the context of a continued Israeli presence in southern Lebanon and near daily overflights, including airstrikes. These actions are not conducive to stability across the Blue Line, and we urge Israel to withdraw its forces and respect Lebanon's territorial integrity. We condemn Hezbollah's attempts to maintain weapons outside of state control and agree that the Lebanese state must become the sole security provider in southern Lebanon. Indeed, we have supported the Lebanese armed forces for over a decade. They've made clear strides, but increased international support will be needed to allow them to take ownership of security in the south. President, 19 years ago, Resolution 1701 established a framework for lasting peace across the Blue Line. We regret that UNIFIL is set to withdraw before that resolution has been implemented in full. In that context, we call on all partners to redouble their commitments to creating the conditions required for security, stability, and a long-term political solution in southern Lebanon. I thank you.
I thank the representative of the United Kingdom for the statement. I now give the floor to the representative of Slovenia.
President, we'd like to begin by expressing our appreciation to France, the penholder, for their efforts and skilled facilitation of the negotiations. We welcome the adoption of this resolution. First, let me reiterate Slovenia's strong support for the mandate of UNIFIL. We commend UNIFIL for its vital work, both in carrying out its operational duties and in maintaining continuous engagement with all relevant stakeholders. We also pay tribute to the UN troops and staff of the mission who, despite challenging and dangerous conditions, continue to carry out their mandate with dedication and courage. This is all the more commendable in light of the difficulties endured during hostilities along the Blue Line in late 2024. We reiterate the call on all parties to cooperate with the force and to guarantee the safety, security, and freedom of movement of UN personnel. The inviolability of UN premises must be upheld at all times. We further underscore our call to all parties to uphold their responsibilities under international humanitarian law, particularly with regard to the protection of civilians. Second, we reiterate that UNIFIL remains indispensable. Its continued presence is a vital stabilizing force along the Blue Line and in the region. Without the mission, tensions would likely escalate rapidly, significantly increasing the risk of renewed conflicts. UNIFIL's core function of monitoring, deconfliction, and coordination with the Lebanese armed forces are indispensable to prevent further destabilization. In this context, renewing UNIFIL's mandate is not merely procedural, but essential, serving as a critical buffer against renewed instability and supporting Lebanon in gradually assuming its responsibilities and exercising full sovereignty. We welcome the progress achieved in the recent months. Nonetheless, the security situation remains fragile. The political process needs time and space to advance, while recovery and reconstruction efforts are only beginning. This merits careful consideration and cautious adaptation of existing mechanisms in order to prevent any vacuum. That includes continued work of UNIFIL, an orderly and safe drawdown and withdrawal from 31st December of 2026 on. It also includes consideration of options and of international presence for the future. All efforts must continue being geared towards the full implementation of Resolution 1701 as the basis of long-term security along the Blue Line. Due to the reasons mentioned, Slovenia strongly supports the renewal of UNIFIL's mandate. We understand the divergent views within the Council, but at the same time think that a strong and united message is important for Lebanon and its armed forces, for UNIFIL, Israel, and the wider region. Let me conclude, Mr. President, by expressing our deep gratitude to all troop contributing countries for their role in promoting regional stability. I thank you.
Agradezco.
I thank the representative of Slovenia for the statement. I now give the floor to the representative of Pakistan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Peacekeeping operations are indispensable for advancing UN Security Council mandates. UNIFIL has been critical in maintaining stability along the Blue Line and in its area of operations, helping to de-escalate tensions and reducing risks of confrontation. Mr. President, throughout the negotiations on this resolution, we consistently stressed that any consideration of UNIFIL's withdrawal must be conditions-based, informed by strategic assessment of the situation and the realities on the ground, not driven by arbitrary timelines. We commend the Lebanese government for its efforts to assert state authority, including by deploying over 8,000 troops south of the Litani River. But it is worth recalling that Lebanon requested the renewal of UNIFIL's mandate and not its withdrawal. The resolution before us represents a compromise. We appreciate the constructive efforts of all parties and commend France for its deft handling. While the text does not fully reflect our position, we have gone along as it encapsulates a compromise that garnered consensus. During the forthcoming period of UNIFIL's mandate, the Council must ensure 1. Full redeployment of LAF to the south of Litani River. 2. Safe and orderly transition in close coordination with the host country. 3. Enhanced international support to LAF to strengthen its capacity, including through the lifting of any existing restrictions that impede its ability to fully and effectively discharge its responsibilities. 4. Israel's withdrawal from all Lebanese territory, including the 5 positions and 2 buffer zones in southern Lebanon. Lastly, full implementation of Resolution 1701 and progress towards a sustainable political solution based on the options to be provided by the Secretary General and in consultation with concerned parties. Mr. President, UNIFIL has discharged its mandate with professionalism, including during recent hostilities. We appreciate UNIFIL's leadership, personnel, and troop contributing countries for their dedication and sacrifices. I thank you.
I thank the representative of Pakistan for the statement. I now give the floor to the representative of Somalia.
Thank you, Mr. President. At the outset, I would like to thank France, the penholder, for its tireless efforts to steer in the successful adoption of this resolution. Mr. President, Somalia voted in favor of this resolution to extend the mandate of the United Nations interim forces in Lebanon. We did so because we firmly believe that UNIFIL continues to play an essential role in maintaining stability along the Blue Line, preventing further escalations, and supporting the Lebanon during a period of immense regional challenges. We are aware of the grave pressures faced by the Lebanese people, and we underscore the importance of avoiding any actions that could undermine Lebanon's fragile stability. UNIFIL's presence remains a critical element for the collective efforts to safeguard Lebanon, deter violations of Resolution 1701, and contribute to de-escalations in southern Lebanon. We also stressed the importance of respecting Lebanon's sovereignty while enhancing the capacity of the Lebanese armed forces to assume full responsibility for the defense of Lebanon's territory. We urge the international community, as this resolution does, to intensify its support, including equipment, material, and financial assistance to the Lebanese armed forces to ensure their effective and sustainable development south of the Litani River and to fulfill the duties and responsibilities. Mr. President, Somalia supports this extension. While we understand that it should serve as a decisive window for consolidating the mission's achievement, reinforcing the authority of the Lebanese state, and creating the conditions necessary for sustainable transition. We emphasize that UNIFIL's transition and drawdown must be conducted safely and in an orderly manner and in close coordination with the host country. We call on Israel to withdraw its forces from all Lebanese territories, including the 5 positions in southern Lebanon, and cease the daily air and drone strikes on Lebanese territory, and to comply with its obligations under international humanitarian law, including those pertaining to the protections of civilians. We call on all parties to exercise maximum restraint, adhere strictly to international law, and avoid any provocations that could endanger Lebanon's security or the wider regions. To conclude, Mr. President, Somalia reaffirms its unwavering support for the Lebanon's sovereignty, unity, and territorial integrity. Achieving a comprehensive, just, and lasting peace in the Middle East is only viable through enhanced and genuine commitment to dialogue in accordance with international law and the United Nations Charter. I thank you.
Agradezco.
I thank the representative of Somalia for the statement. I now give the floor to the representative of the United States.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I join others in thanking France, the penholder on this file, for managing this final unanimous renewal. The United States welcomes today's historic vote, which brings an end to the UNIFIL's mandate in a responsible, orderly, and time-bound manner. It does so by renewing the mandate for a final time while directing UNIFIL to cease its operations on December 31st, 2026, and then to fully draw down and withdraw within no more than 1 year. The United States notes that the first I in UNIFIL stands for interim. The time has come for UNIFIL's mission to end. This is the last time we will support an extension of UNIFIL. The security environment in Lebanon is radically different than just 1 year ago, creating the space for Lebanon to assume greater responsibility. We commend the Lebanese Armed Forces deployment progress since the cessation of hostilities went into effect, and we will continue to work with the LAF to expand its capabilities as Lebanon carries out its critical work in disarming Hezbollah. We support the government of Lebanon's efforts to assume security responsibilities throughout the country. We urge the international community to use the coming year to bolster the Lebanese armed forces as we work toward this shared objective. We must use this time to set Lebanon up for success. We also recognize Israel's legitimate security needs and interests, including the need to defend itself from Hezbollah. We are committed to the cessation of hostilities and will continue to support both our Lebanese and Israeli partners to sustain progress toward full implementation of UN Security Council Resolution 1701, the responsible drawdown of UNIFIL, and the strengthening of the Lebanese state. I thank you.
I thank the representative of the United States for the statement. I now give the floor to the representative of China.
President, to ensure a smooth mandate renewal for UNIFIL, and especially by considering the position of Lebanon, the host country, China voted in favor of Resolution 2790, which was just adopted. I will make 3 points. First, For some time, the situation between Lebanon and Israel has remained tense, with Israel occupying 5 locations in southern Lebanon and 2 buffer zones, launching frequent attacks on Lebanon, causing massive civilian casualties and civilian infrastructure damages. The Council just adopted Resolution 2790, categorically calling for the implementation in good faith of the Lebanon-Israel ceasefire agreement, unequivocally urging Israel to withdraw all its troops from southern Lebanon, clearly reaffirming its support for Lebanon's sovereignty, security, and territorial integrity, and sending a strong political message to end the violent conflict and restore peace and stability between Lebanon and Israel. We hope that all parties concerned will effectively implement the resolution, find a solution through dialogue and consultations, support UNIFIL's active fulfillment of its mandate, ensure UNIFIL's safety and security and its freedom of movement, and work jointly to fully implement Council Resolution 1701 and achieve lasting peace in Lebanon and Israel. Second, for years, UNIFIL has significantly contributed to the maintenance of peace and stability along the Blue Line and in the region at large. The international community has broadly recognized and commended its contribution and expects UNIFIL to continue its role. Regrettably, despite the thorough constructive efforts and flexibility shown by France, the penholder, and other Council members, due to the stubborn insistence of a permanent member, Resolution 2790 represents the last mandate renewal for UNIFIL, which will have to end its mandate and start withdrawal by the end of 2026. Indeed, no UN mission should exist permanently, but no mission should withdraw in haste while the situation remains tense. With the situation on the ground being fragile, UNIFIL's role in maintaining stability is indispensable. However, in total disregard of the tensions on the ground, in total disregard of the legitimate concerns of Lebanon as a host country, and in total disregard of the strong voices of the vast majority of the Council members, a permanent member has gone its own way and forcibly pushed for the closure of UNIFIL in a bit over 1 year's time. This practice of imposing one's will on others and taking ill-conceived and arbitrary actions is disappointing. Third, setting the deadline for closing UNIFIL comes at a time when the UN is experiencing a serious liquidity crisis and the member states are discussing the UN 80 initiative. China believes that the most direct and effective solution to the current liquidity crisis lies in all member states paying their assessments to the regular and peacekeeping budgets in full and without conditions. China supports the necessary reforms to the United Nations, reducing personnel and expenditure, improving quality and efficiency, with a view to better adapting to the changing reality. But this should be done on the premise of ensuring that the UN, especially the Security Council, could continue to perform its functions. Reform cannot become a reason for non-fulfillment of financial obligations, let alone an excuse for arbitrarily abolishing PKOs regardless of the situation on the ground. UN PKOs are the collective decisions of the Council and reflect the collective will of the Council. A certain country, based on its own strategies and policies, categorizes the existing UN PKOs into different tiers, retains what it deems useful to itself, and closes what it deems useless to itself. This selfish and irresponsible behavior is not acceptable and should be rejected. Thank you, President.
A la delegación de China.
I thank the representative of China for the statement. I shall now make a statement in my capacity as representative of Panama. Your Excellencies, Panama welcomes the adoption of the resolution that renews, albeit for the final period, the mandate of UNIFIL. This was adopted unanimously here in this Council. We would like to pay tribute to France for their work in leading this process, as well as all members of the Council for their valuable contribution to the mandate renewal. we would like to express our strong support and acknowledgement to the work of the mission and the peacekeeping personnel, whose commitment has been essential in supporting relative stability in the south of Lebanon, even in the midst of tensions and recent challenges. Their presence, which remains necessary, has contributed significantly to helping the Lebanese armed forces to strengthen the state's authority and establish safer conditions for civilians. As we look towards the last stage of the mission's work, Panama trusts that the conditions in the south of Lebanon will positively evolve towards lasting stability, to respect the sovereignty, political independence, and territorial integrity of Lebanon, in line with Resolution 1701. Thank you.